Hello everybody, I'm back again. And last video we went over the word frequency. Remember I told you about F-I-T-T. Frequency is how often should I train? I answered that last time. Intensity, which this one's about, F-I, the intensity is about how hard should I train. The first T is about time, how long should I train in the gym. And then the last T is type. And type, like I said, is really the whole focus of everything, the type of training. And that has to do with a goal. And if you go all the way back to the beginning, the goal that you set needs to be clearly, explained to the trainer in this case. And let me start out by saying, once again, if you looked at the frequency video, and I'm going to pull quite a bit from it, I am only, once again, I'm not retired yet from teaching. I'm still teaching so far, and I'm only part-time training, so that's a problem. So I'm not as available. But let me just say this: the people at Roswell Fitness have good trainers, and the people at Elite Fitness have great trainers, and I can hook you up with one of those. So if you want to get hold of me and ask me some questions, please feel free to do so. But if you really want some training, I don't mind doing it. I can only do it on a part-time basis, but I think you need someone that's going to be there on a regular basis with you. Okay, so with that being said, let's look at intensity. How hard should I train? Now, how do you answer this question? The main phrase is muscle fatigue. Okay, what you want to do, last video on frequency, I mentioned set rep scheme, and I also discussed what's called red fiber and white fiber. The red fiber, remember, is a slow twitch fiber, and the white fiber is the fast twitch fiber. And these fibers matter when you're approaching your training. So let's take, for example, a sprinter versus, let's say, a marathon runner. So a sprinter, when you look at them, a sprinter does, like, say, a 440-yard dash, let's say, or a 100-yard dash. Okay, they do a 100-yard dash, sorry. And when they do a 100-yard dash, and you look at a sprinter, look at the legs on a sprinter. They're big, they're thick. Same thing as like an NFL running back. A running back, the average football play lasts about 8 seconds. And a running back is designed in that sense and works in a sense to exert themselves in a very short, explosive amount of time. Thus that white fiber. In other words, the development of that white fiber is critical, and to both a sprinter and to a running back. They use the common word would be explosive. So if you go back to the frequency video, I mentioned about the different types of lifters. The power lifter is predominantly using and trying to develop the white fiber. And that's why I mentioned in a set rep scheme for a power lifter, they're trying to work low reps. Okay, and the low reps is the idea of the explosion. And so their type of training is different. That's geared towards what their goal is. But that white fiber is how hard, it dictates how hard they train. They train a lot like a sprinter would, in a sense. If you think of it, if you look at an endurance athlete, such as a marathon runner, look at their legs. They're not this big, thick leg. Predominantly, it's not. It's the red fiber. It's the development of that long endurance training. And so the training fits what they want to do and what they want to accomplish. How hard you train now is not to say who's training harder, sprinters training harder, or is an endurance one such as a marathon runner training harder. The intensity is intensity. So it's what your goal is, but the key is muscle fatigue. The muscle has an energy store in it called ATP, adenosine triphosphate. It is the energy storage or the energy source used in muscles. It's primarily anaerobic. You have two anaerobic pathways, and then you have one aerobic pathway. And not to get too preachy in this, the aerobic pathway is the oxidative, uses a lot of oxygen. The red fiber uses a lot more and is bathed more with the idea of an oxidative process. Thus, this is why when you see an endurance trainer or somebody that does an endurance training, it's the idea of the reliance on that red fiber. Okay, the red fiber has a longer lasting principle to it. It's got endurance. Your legs primarily have more red fiber and is made up of more red fiber for a good reason, naturally, if you think about it. The red fiber has greater endurance. If it was all white fiber, think of how quickly it would go, the exhaustion would be quicker. This is my excuse. So older people like me have more white fiber. Maybe that's a theory we need to work on scientifically, is that you develop greater white fiber as you get older in your legs, and you got to sit down longer or you fall down quicker. I don't know. No, that's not true. Okay, so, but that's my excuse. But here, let's go back to this. Okay, let me get back on track. I know. The red fiber then and the white fiber are important. White fiber has a greater storage capacity for ATP. It's bigger. And because of this, that muscle fatigue, you want to exhaust that supply. So whenever you're in there and you're doing, this goes back to the frequency when I talked about the rep scheme, and I talked about percentages, if you remember this. If I have a 1 rep max of 200 pounds on the bench press, let's say, because 200 is a nice round number and Gallagher can do it mentally, then 75% of that 200 pound 1 rep max is 150 pounds. And I should be doing that at 10 reps. So that 10 reps, I should be saying I can do 150 pounds at my 10 rep set. Okay, I should be exhausting on that 10 rep. I should be getting to that 10th rep and exhausting myself. I shouldn't be going 10 all the time. If I'm doing that, then something needs to change in the intensity of my exercise. And I told you there's 4 things you can basically do to increase or change intensity. Now, there's some more. We can change the order of operations, the order of exercises and things like this, but I'm not going to get into that yet about pre-exhaustion, post-exhaustion, and things like this. I gave you the 4 already. One is you can either, and the first 3 about increasing is, 1, you can increase the resistance, increase the weight. You can, 2, increase the reps. Okay, so if I'm doing 10 reps and I try to get 2 more reps, I've increased the intensity. And by doing that, then it tells me that I can increase the weight if I want to do that. Go back to the first one. So increase resistance, increase the reps, or the weight, increase the reps. Or you can increase as well the volume, the total numbers of sets and reps that you do. I can do more exercises, or I can do more sets. The only one you can decrease to really increase the intensity is you can decrease the rest time. So those are the 4 things you can do. So if I'm working in my set rep scheme of, let's say, 3 sets of 10 reps, and I can do 3 sets of 10 reps and I don't feel exhausted, it's time to do one of those changes. I want to increase the intensity. I want to work out harder. Remember, intensity is how hard should I work out? And how hard is muscle fatigue. If I'm not fatiguing my muscle, then something needs to change. So if I'm a power lifter and I'm doing my mat, and powerlifters, remember, don't operate usually at the 75%. They don't really care about reps of 10. They care about reps of 3. Okay. And if I'm pushing that maximum 90% or so of my weight a lot more and a lot easier, then I want to up that somehow. I want to increase it. I want to increase my intensity. I want muscle fatigue. You want to exhaust it. If you're not working to muscle fatigue, you're not getting anything really out of it. There's no good to it. The challenge isn't there. The adaptability of the muscle's not there. So you always want to keep in mind the idea of muscle fatigue. With your trainer, are you working the muscle fatigue? The only way a trainer can really know is by watching you and then asking you. And if you can consistently get 3 sets of 10 on a certain exercise, or 2 sets of 10 wherever you're at, then it's time to increase the intensity somehow. I told you in the last one in frequency, I'm not an advocate for decreasing rest time with a beginner. The reason is usually that means a sacrifice of form. You never sacrifice form. And I mentioned that in the previous video. So the ATP, the storage of the muscle, is what you want to exhaust. When you exhaust that, you build up something called lactic acid. Remember, we talked about the filaments sliding over each other in a frequency video. We talked about the breakdown of the muscle. And by breaking down and the need to recruit more fibers, this is where you're going to get stronger. This is where you're going to get muscle development. And so because of this, okay, because of the breakdown, you get the development of lactic acid. It's the body's ability to clear the lactic acid out that's critical in the development. So that's why when you look at this, rest time is a key, recovery is a key, but also equally that lactic acid, when a muscle fails, if you've ever been doing anything where you're lifting or moving anything and the muscle just completely fails, that's where you hit that ultimate moment of that lactic acid buildup. Okay, it's too hard to overcome. But that's that muscle fatigue. And I mentioned also in the frequency video The gym is one of the only few places you can go in where that success and failure is so intertwined so easily. And you recognize it very, very much so. Because it's the only place I told you I put on my weight belt and I say, okay, I'm ready to fail today. And I'm not going in saying I'm not going to, do well. What I'm saying is I'm going to push it to muscular failure. And you have to do that within reason. Okay. Now I don't want to get into any other exponents now, like cheating exercises or anything like that, or like I said, pre-exhaustion or post-exhaustion. There's other ways to do it. I'm not saying it's the only way to do it, but this is the general gauge. Is you have to understand what you're training for at the time. Okay, and real quickly, since I have a little bit of time, let me tell you just something about the gym experience. Now, I told you last time that here we are, and it's in January. And January 19th is known as Quitter's Day across the fitness industry because by about 3 weeks or so in, a lot of your clientele tend to quit. And the reason is, the first theory is people get pushed too hard too fast. You do get too much muscle fatigue, and you don't have enough recovery. I told you, the gauge to me as a beginner should have 2 times a week should be in the gym working out. 3 times is fine. But you have to have a program where you have enough recovery. And I told you, scientifically, using science, 48 to 72 hours is what you need to recover. You don't build the muscle in the gym. It's outside the gym. You do the damage in the gym. Muscle damage, muscle fatigue. And remember, time under tension. Okay, all these are the 3 big factors you always have to keep in mind. Okay, so with the gym experience, let me kind of go back to this. I saw an advertisement for this thing called The Mirror. And I'm not knocking it. Everybody did the home gym experience. Heck, the COVID experience was nothing but home gym experience. All the way from getting your own home equipment, all the way to, taking your kids and lifting them up and down or whatever you were trying to do, or chasing your dog around the living room, whatever you had to do. Okay, but the bottom line about the gym experience and this thing called The Mirror is the gym experience gives you 2 things. It gives you a sense of community and it gives you a sense of variety. So let me say this. If you're going to buy your own home gym, it's very expensive. When you go to the gym, you pay for variety. You are putting money down and using their equipment. They have a variety of machines that is very hard to pay for. They have a variety of dumbbells. They have a variety of kettlebells. They have a variety of gym equipment. Battle ropes, the whole bit goes on. All the way from smash balls or slam balls, whatever you want to call them, all the way to medicine balls and so on like this. The variety is what you're paying for. If I go to Elite Fitness for $25 a month, for about $300 a year, I get that variety. Now, the other thing I mentioned was community. There is nothing like the community in a gym experience. I am grateful for the community in the gym experience. Now, in the mirror, not knocking once again, there's all these little people in those little bubbles and they're all waving at each other. It gives you that sense of community. I really don't know. Because I felt the community is really when you enter into the gym, you have all these different people that you actually interact with. Haven't we Zoomed a lot? And I think I'm kind of over-Zoomed. And right now, the big picture here is when you go into that gym, you get that sense of community. You get the sense of building friendships. And you get to try all these things. It goes back to variety, too. Try a spin class. If someone is a beginner and I'm training them, and they say, I've been curious about, and they tell me about it. I want to know about CrossFit. Go do CrossFit. I'm not a CrossFit coach. They're different. And I'm not knocking it. I think it's amazing. I actually started flipping tires during the COVID experience. I never flipped tires. I never saw the reason to. I get it. It's about my hip hinge. Okay. But the whole idea of hip flexion versus spinal flexion, I love it. But the whole idea is that's something else. Try new things. Get a different experience. If you said, I've always been curious about, you know what? You get this one life. Do it. You're going to get a sense of community. You're going to get a sense. You're going to make friends. What a wonderful concept. And you're going to get to know people. It's the best thing. When I got into weightlifting, it gave me something. It gave me a sense of confidence. It gave me a sense of self-esteem. It taught me a lot of lessons. But the people, the friends I made, I still have these friends for life. And we share experiences. We're older now. We have all this white twitch fiber. We all fall down. Now, what it is that we all have these experiences that have bonded us. I can't stress it enough. The confidence I found in the weight room gave me confidence for other things in life. You got to find out a lot about yourself. And that muscle fatigue is a transitional thing. It's a relational piece in life. So I urge you to be a gym member. And I urge you to get that experience safely. I understand. Wisely. I understand. Okay. But think about the idea. So be fit, F-I-T-T. By the way, think of it this way too. I just saw a Target's ad. And if you're going to go out and buy, everything's fitness now. Your fitness food, your fitness clothing, your fitness, equipment, and so on like this. Add up how much you're going to pay. Put it to a gym membership. And get in there and get a good trainer. If it's not me, I feel fantastic. I want you to know. Drop me a letter. Pick up my card. Let me know how you're doing. I really do want to know. If you have some questions, let me know. If you need a trainer, I know some trainers. I'll try to associate you with them. These people take a lot of time and pay a lot of money in order to get certified. And make sure they're certified. Make sure they don't go in to go, there's the bench, you start doing the bench. Okay, make sure they're asking you health screening questionnaires, which brings me to another point before I get up. See a doctor before you start anything. Find out. As a trainer, I would ask, first thing I'd do is give you an HSQ, a health screening questionnaire, and I'd want to know some things because I want you to be healthy. And I do care and I'm deeply concerned. One of the things I am certified in that I hope I never have to use is CPR because that means something's going wrong. If you walk into a gym, you need to make sure that you've been screened by a doctor. Trainers are not doctors. I'm not a doctor. And you should also have a sense of anytime you're going to start a nutritional plan, what you call a diet, talk to a doctor. Get a good sense of where you're going and understand how it's going to affect you. You want to feel good. When you feel good, man, performance is amazing. Life is amazing. Okay, fitness is for life. I told you in the last video, it's either you enjoy it or you endure it. Make a plan. Big plans, but small progress. Always going forward. And the whole idea with that big plan is you want to break that year, look at where you're going to be at the end of the year, and then bring it back. Micro, meso, macro. That's what they teach us in the business, and it makes sense. You want that micro program. What am I going to do in the first part of it, in the 4 weeks? Make the commitment. What am I going to do in my quarterly reports every 3 months? And then yearly. You're always checking. And the good trainer is always checking. And then you kind of come to this understanding. If you buy into this, it will work. If you've done it before in the past and it hasn't, try something different. At home is nice, but you got to pay for that variety. You got to buy that gym equipment. It's very expensive. And then you also have to pay for that community, that lack of. It's nice. And I know Peloton, I've seen it, crush this and we did that. I think that's nice. But I'm more of an advocate of being out there. It's not for everybody. I get it. Peloton's for you. The mirror's for you and these things. I've seen Tonal, with it. It's an amazing where we're going. They're very expensive. And it's a heck of an investment. But think about the idea of a gym membership. Think about the idea of also supporting local. We talk about small business. There it is. These are small business people trying to make a living. They're in your community. Okay? So make a commitment. If you need something, let me know. Drop me a line. I'm trying to enable comments. Not really sure what I'm doing. My comments have to do with minors, and it's because I have other videos on my Gallagher Eyes channel. It has to do with academics. That's why. Okay, but I will try to work on that. If not, drop me a line. Okay, somehow. And I'm on Facebook. Don't be afraid to give me a message. I'll try to get back to you. Okay, you guys have a wonderful, safe day. Intensity. Okay, frequency. How often? I gave it to you. Intensity. Muscle fatigue, okay? And then we're going to look at time. How long should I stay in the gym? And that's a good question. And we'll look at that. Once again, of course, it's always going to go back to what's your goal. And I've seen people that have been in the gym on a short basis. So I knew a guy that 30 minutes and he was done. And I understand why. And it was very logical and very interesting. But that goes with intensity now. And then the other one is I've seen some people staying there for they say 2 hours. Okay, by the way, this is all resistance training. I'm talking about weight training. I'm not talking about cardio yet. Because whenever you're working that maximum of weights of 75% or 80%, the same applies to what's called your THR, your target heart rate. And your target heart rate, by the way, throw in intensity. If you're going to do that, you need to know what your target heart rate is. And there's something called the Carvonen formula, Karvonen. I don't have time to get into it. It's basically you take the number 220, you subtract your age, and then you need to know 2 other factors. One is your resting heart rate, and the second thing is the intensity you're going to work out at, 60% or 70%. If you Google Karvon, the Karvonen formula, it'll show you how to use it. If not, let me know and I'll show you real quick how to do it. And once you know that target heart rate, you'll work out more effectively and more safely. Get a little fit watch or one of those little watches that keeps the heart rates, or if the device has it, track it to know what zone you're in. And that helps you understand the intensity, but also that you're doing it safely. Sorry, I should have mentioned that from the beginning. You guys have a great day. Thank you. Bye-bye.